and request Gauri ma'am. I would request Gauri ma'am to speak a few words and address of us for today. You muted, ma'am.
A very good morning to all of you. I bring warm greetings from Symbiosis School of Architecture, Urban Development and Planning, Symbiosis Skills and Professional University, Pune. Uh, a very warm welcome to you, Jimmy. It's so good to see you. If you can stop sharing the screen, we would be able to see you, sir. So I would request.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, please stop sharing the screen so everybody can see you.
Share the screen.
Yeah, stop sharing it. Stop sharing it so that we can see.
Is it on now?
Yes, yes. So can you pin him, please, so that we can see Jimmy, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I have done that.
Yeah, yes. Now we can see you. So very warm welcome to you again. And it's a pleasure to meet you here, though it's an online platform. It's been really long since you've been here on campus last time. And it's a pleasure having you here. And thank you so much for accepting my invitation and being here to have a dialogue with my students. And I'll be looking forward to meeting you on campus like last time. And we had discussed about design workshop, which I'm really looking forward because we have received a permission from the state government to reopen the campus, and soon all my students will be back on campus. And then probably soon I'll have a chance to invite you and have attained a workshop, design workshop conducted by you. So over to you, Ayush.
Thank you so much, ma'am. To start off, I would like to say a famous quote by Yuval Noah Harari. In a world deluged by irrelevant information, clarity is the power. And thus, in theory, anybody can join the debate about a journey to success. But to infuse a clear stream of vision, here we are having the talk series on the marvelous journeys by the architect themselves. The Creative Pursuits is a talk series that helps the students to understand the profession by the professionals themselves, challenges and the hardships they found while they met their success, and the common problems that they faced during their studenthood and how to conquer them. As already introduced by Gauri ma'am, our respected guest for today, architect Jimmy Lim sir, I would like to use the opportunity and ask Preeti Daseja to put some more light upon his contributions to the world of architecture. Is Preeti Daseja here? Oh, I think she hasn't joined yet.
Okay, you can continue.
I'd continue, thank you. Yeah. Jimmy Lim sir is a Malaysian architect trained in University of New South Wales. He was a senior architect and then associate of the firm Project Architects SDN in Kuala Lumpur from 1972 to 1977 and established his own practice CSL Associates in 1978. He built works both in Malaysia and abroad, have ranged from residential bungalows to high and low-rise commercial complexes, medical facilities, sporting facilities, and hotels and resorts. The Selangor residence that he had designed in Selangor, Malaysia was presented as the Aga Khan Award for Architecture during 1998 award cycle. In 1983, Jimmy Lim sir was founding member and a trustee of Heritage Trust of Malaysia. That's the Badan Warsian Malaysia, and continues to serve as a member of the Trust Council. He served as president for Friends of Heritage of Malaysia, Sahabat Warisan Malaysia from 1998 to 1992, and was president of the Malaysian Architectural Institute from 1991 to 1993. Architect Jimmy Lim Sir is an active in local residents organization in Kuala Lumpur, and to resist uncontrolled planning and to prevent destruction of the environment and protect the natural environment and the ecology of the city. He has presented numerous papers on architecture and conversation at seminars and conferences in Malaysia and internationally. I would request Sir to start by his presentation. Thanks.
Asking me to start. Are you asking me to start?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Thank you very much, Gary, and the rest of your team at Symbiosis. I remember very fondly my visit to your place, and I look forward to visiting again very, very soon.
Yes.
Thank you for having me this morning. In fact, I have to apologize because my assistant Agnes, who have been working very hard to prepare a fantastic presentation this morning, unfortunately, she was taken indisposed this morning. So,
okay.
You know, but the other presentation was all done, which is, as you can see, yeah. So it was meant to be in 4 segments, and
Yes.
you know, we planned it in such an interesting way so that the students could relate what goes on. But anyway, maybe we can reserve that for another talk. You know.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Yes. Absolutely.
But anyway, I'm going to talk about pursuit of excellence,
Yes.
which is reaching the invisible intellectual ceiling. I think in everything that we do, we must always set ourselves a goal, right? So that we know which direction we are going and all that sort of thing, right? Now, architecture is all about creativity, and it's all about originality and creativeness, and that has to be the vocabulary of a designer. You cannot just repeat doing the same old thing. You must always be looking at how to take advantage of new ideas so that you can move forward. So I always believe that one must always take advantage of a disadvantage. That might sound very mercenary, but then on the other hand, as a designer, you have to be very, very tough on yourself. You have to get the best. Now, there's an English saying that necessity is the mother of invention. Now, I like to add on to it. That is, a disadvantage or an obstruction becomes the fairy godmother of creativity. All right. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard the story of Cinderella. Oh, she was disadvantaged. She was very ill-treated by her stepmother, and she was working in the kitchen, not allowed to go to the ball. So what happened? She cried, and fairy godmother came along, and fairy godmother changed everything, and her life changed. So good architecture is taking advantage of a disadvantage, and that's very important. Bear that in mind. And now, the other thing is we must always remember architecture is not about icons. It's not about ideas of this and that. It's about creating things for people. It's about people. Well, what are people about? People are about life. What's life about? Life is about living. And what's living about? Living is about enjoying. We create things for people to enjoy, right? Then, if living is about enjoying, then and what is that? Enjoying nature, enjoying what we design, man-made environment. So it must therefore follows that architecture is about enjoyment. Now, a lot of architects spend a lot of time titivating their elevations of their building. Let me ask you one question. How many of your clients do you think rush home every night at 6 o'clock take his favorite armchair across the street, sit across the street with his cup of tea or coffee or his whiskey and look at his building that you have designed. Say, oh, I love the window over the stair. Oh, I love that triangulation. I love the round form. Oh, I like the cantilever. Do you think your client would do that? I mean, if your client does that, all the neighbors are going to think that he's gone a bit cuckoo, right? Now think about that. Now, we talk about space. What is space about? Space about the interior of a building that we use, what's manifested inside. So architecture has to be the manifestation of the inside to the outside. It's not the outside imposing what you should be doing inside. Now that's very important. So see, this is why personally I disagree with the profession of interior design, because very often interior designers design something without understanding the architecture. Now, how many interior designers ever go and approach an architect and say, oh, Mr. Architect, can you tell me what was the design concept of your building so that I can fit an interior that is suitable for the space you have created, for the building that you have created? Can you imagine you have designed a giraffe? You know what giraffe is? The animal with a long neck. And then the interior designer designed the guts of the inside of the giraffe. And he designed a very delicate, very refined innard that's suitable for a rabbit. How would the innard of a rabbit fit into the giraffe? All right. Now, this is something you've got to think about. This is when you talk about design. We cannot separate the two. And this is why the sooner schools of architecture stop teaching interior design, but make that part of architecture, the better it is for the profession. And it's very important. We have always said that architecture is the mother of arts. It's a combination of the whole design process. And that's very important. So we cannot separate the two. Now, interior, you see, you've got to think of what is it that you want to do inside the building? What is it being used for? Then, having done that, then it becomes an expression on the outside, not the other way around. You create space, you connect space, you articulate, you modulate your spaces, you create light and shadows, you create elements of surprise, you create lots of delight of the unexpected, you play around your structures, you play around your construction details, you manipulate your detailing in such a way that everything would become a celebration. So the way you put your building together, the way you put your structures together, that should be what the interior is all about. The interior has to be a celebration of your design, not to be something done by someone else who doesn't respect what you're trying to achieve. We're not designing shoe boxes. You don't design shoe box and then say that, yes, now we will do something to the interior. You just don't design 4 walls, ceiling, flat ceiling, and a floor. You must create, modulate your space. Architecture is not about external views, as I said earlier on. How many clients rush home and go outside and look at the thing, right? It's not. The interior of your building and the exterior has to be a perfect design. You know, like the Chinese talk about yin yang. That means the hot and the cold, you know, so that you create a balance. And I think this is very important. See, I mean, when you talk about balancing, it's a bit like the Chinese feng shui. Feng, wind, shui is water. This is in a way similar to Vastu in your Indian culture. You're Vastu, right? I'm sure a lot of you know what Vastu is, but then you don't practice it. A lot of young students don't do that, but you have to do something. You've got to know your own cultural context. So the outside is done in a certain manner because it reflects the inside. A lot of people are just titivating the outside to put a bit of horizontal lines, some vertical panels, this and that, take walls out, take walls in, but then it doesn't do anything to inside space. When you go inside, it's just a shoebox. So if you want to design shoe boxes, go and work for Bata Shoes. Oh, it's important. See, this is a drawing I made many years ago of a guy trying to get himself out of the box. It can have all the legs and all the hands, but you can't get out of the box because physically you're in there. But important thing is intellectually you can. Now, many of you don't realize that these 16 points I have here were all the things that architects used to do. Architects used to do interior design, used to do quantity surveying, used to do planning, used to do structures, do air conditioning, you do landscaping, you do color coordination, do project management, you do specification, you do costing, do acoustics and sound, you do construction, you do lighting, you do drawing or drafting, you do contract management, you do support services, etc., lifts, fire prevention, etc., etc. But today, none of the architects who are being trained know any of these things because they are all told that this is all done by someone else. Ask your lecturer, what should I do about the structures? Oh, he'll tell, don't worry, the engineer will solve it. Ask them about landscape. Oh, don't worry, the landscaper will do it. Or what about costing? Oh, don't worry, let the builder do that. See, this is where it's all wrong. But then before, all these things were done by architects. That's why the architect's position before was very strong. But today, the architect's very weak because you have given things away. Architects for a long time thought about, oh, we are the arty people. We are very arty-farty. We won't get our hands dirty. We want to count. We don't want to add. Leave it to the accountants. Leave it to the builders. And that's what happened. You give everything away. In the end, you've got nothing. So now, for the profession to survive in the next 20 years, all you guys must relearn all these things. We learn how to do all these things. We learn how to design structures. Your building must be an articulation, a celebration of your structure. You look at all the great buildings in the world, they got fantastic structures, right? So think about it. Now, architects used to think about originality and creativity, but today, originality is out. Plagiarism is trendy and in. You go to a client say, oh, I like that building, that building at a Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles or Sunset Boulevard, I mean, come on. That's not the way to do. And of course, what is bad today is you got this internet. This internet thing is something you're going to be very careful. I know the whole process of indoctrination has become so powerful that you guys begin to think that the internet, the computer is the answer to everything. It's not. You are bondaging yourself to the computer, you're bondaging yourself to the internet, to all these things, right? The whole sense of self, your individuality is gone. There's no more individuality. Everybody is showing off all the things. They all want to look the same, right? They look the same. All the girls want to look the same. They all want to have the same smile. They all want to have the same sort of wave, that sort of thing. That's it. Now, and let me say one thing. The computer is a great tool. It's a tool. It should not become your master. But too many students today treat the computer as the answer. They get a software, oh, I can do all these pretty things, all these pretty pictures, but you forget it. The computer is the worst thing that can ever happen because it makes your mind go soft. And you stop being creative because your mind gets lazy. You should not. I don't know what the word computer is in India. How do you call computer in Indian? What? Computer or something like that? Now, the Chinese, the literal translation of computer in Chinese is, the Chinese call it dian nao. Dian in Chinese is Mandarin. Dian means electricity. now is brain. The computer is the electric brain, right? Now, if the Chinese call the computer electric brain, then that's a very actually nice way, which means they understand that computer is an electric brain, not a brain, right? Whilst we have brains. Now, the brain that you have in your head, in your skull, doesn't need electricity. Now, a computer cannot function when there's no electricity. The moment your battery runs dry, your computer goes kaput, correct? So you think about it. Now, you go to a remote area where there are no electricity and you don't have your backup, your computer cannot function. So how are you going to give instructions? And how are you going to do things? You can't. So you always think, remember, your brain doesn't need electricity. So it's very important. Students must learn to think and be innovative, not rely on the computer. So as I said, plagiarism. And this is a little cartoon of the Malaysian Parliament House in Kuala Lumpur. And someone probably, a guy who wants to be, who aspired to be a prime minister, he said, oh, get an architect to build a miniature look-alike of the Parliament House. And of course, the architect said, there, yes, we will do it, no problem, sir. So there you are. Now, whatever you do as an architect, you must always strive for meritocracy. Meritocracy is defined in the dictionary as the society in which power is held by those with the greatest ability. Great with ability. That's what meritocracy is all about, right? Now, this is a chart that I made many years ago explaining about the thing. I think it's a little bit hard for me to explain this, how it works. But maybe when I come around to your university, when we can all travel, then I can explain a bit better. Okay, but essentially you can see, you know, on the left, there's a Y, is your attainment. Then the horizontal line, which is the X, that is the timeline. So you can see at the age of 18, you should graduate your secondary education. Then at about 22, you should graduate with an undergraduate degree. And then that becomes your highest point of attainment. And that's what the invisible intellectual ceiling becomes. If you don't do anything about it, you carry on, you'll never get any higher than that. Then if you pursue master's degree, it will take you another few years, then you go up to a higher level. Then if you do a doctorate degree, you go a bit higher. So by the time you get there, you're probably about 35 years old or 30 years old, you get your PhD. So, and then a lot of people, the moment they get their PhD, they go into complacency and they think that, oh, they know everything. No, it's not. You see, at every stage that you attain your status, you must keep on breaking it. You can do it yourself. You don't have to rely on the university or anyone to do it. And that's very important. Maintaining your own, setting your own standard. You see the broken line I have on the right-hand side going up. You can see how from secondary education, you can then allow yourself to be pushed up. So essentially what you do is you move your X and Y axis, the 0 point. Every time you attain a high level, you think you're there, you move your X and Y up here so that this becomes 0 again. Then you go up again, then you move this. So every time you attain a high point, you treat that as 0, and then you proceed, okay? And mediocrity is defined anything that's of both ends. It's the opposite of meritocracy. So here it is. You see, having attained your secondary education, you start to go downhill, the dotted line going down. After your tertiary education, you go down. So the diploma, the degree you get, that's your high point. After that, you just go downhill. So you don't want that to happen to you in the future. That's very important. Now, how do we manifest mediocrity? Mediocrity is lacks initiative, lacks vision, lacks conviction, lacks foresight, lacks idealism, lacks creativity, lacks professionalism, lacks moral fiber, lacks design integrity. It has misplaced values. No initiative, acceptance without challenge. Will not willing to breach the IIC. Intellectually lazy, will not want to think of new things. They lack leadership quality, acceptance of the norm, and allows commercialism to take over. So pursuing money becomes the main thing, or allow pop art culture to overrule your attitude. And of course, plagiarism. That's the easiest thing to do, plagiarize. You steal people's ideas. So we say, here we come back to this thing. You got to get out of the box to get out the IIC. Now, we must realize that as a designer, we only get to design things when there's a client, your commission do something. Now, every designer sets out, say, great high ideals, they tell you all their philosophy, but all their end results are very different. Some have absolutely no clue, and others are just too impossible. So very often we all say, well, we have to give in to the client. After all, he's paying for it. Yes, he's paying for it, but then you must guide him. You don't go to the doctors and say, hey, doctor, I've got appendix. I think I've got a stomach ache, my appendix here. Doctor say, oh yes, you have appendix. I think we have to operate and we have to cut the incision on the lower abdomen on the right-hand side of your stomach. And you say, oh, no, doctor, no, you can't do that. You must do the insertion from my back. That means you must cut the scar at the back. You cannot cut it in front because I don't want the scar to be in front. Do you think the doctors can do that? Yeah, they can probably do it, but it'll be so difficult because they'll have to cut through all the muscles and what have you on your back, and you end up with a lot of problems. And in today's hospitals, there are a lot of infections in the ICU. The number of patients who after surgery goes into ICU and picks up an infection, and many of them die from the infection, is ridiculous. That's because the ICUs are very, very poorly designed, badly designed. All right, it's a culmination of doctors and M&E people. So, got to be careful that when we are fulfilling the client's needs, we are not sacrificing our high ideals. All right. Yes, we like to please the client. Then they also want you to have low fees. And so you also agree to that. So you're all the time ending up with wrong designs or regular plagiarism of others' design and to the copy, so you end up with a communication breakdown. So I don't know, is this an elephant or tiger elephant or typhon or alligator? So what is this? So something has gone wrong somewhere, okay? So there you are. So I can't see the thing. So that's why sometimes we must be able to tell the client, no, certain things cannot be done, all right? And because I think it's very important. See, many years ago, a client came to me, this was years ago, I think at least 30, 40 years ago, came to me and said, oh, Mr. Architect, I got a big piece of rubber estate. I've cleared all the trees. I've cut all the land in all a nice platform. The surveyor have surveyed the thing and all. You just give me 5 designs of different types of house so I can go to the site and build all this designs. You know, I mean, it would have been a lot of money. Can you imagine if only you get 100 ringgit per design, you got about 2,000 houses there, 2,000 times 100. That's a lot of money, But then so anyway, I saw, oh well, this guy obviously don't understand anything. So I told him about how God created the earth. He created everything round. He created us hills with trees. He gives us oceans, seas with water, rivers, and all that. But he never designed anything straight or flat. So I said, if God had wanted us to live on flat land, everything flat, he would have designed Earth not as a globe, but as a cube, like these two drawings that I've got here to show you how they should look like. So I don't know whether, So anyway, the guy sort of turned to me after I finished my story and said, "Oh, Mr. Architect, you are very religious, huh?" Yeah. I said, "Yes, I'm quite religious actually." Of course, that's not true, I've got no religion. My religion is architecture. So we don't want to get the wrong end again, do we? So there you are. See, this is the sort of things we can. So instead of designing the elephant with the front ears, we think that the back of the elephant is the front. So you have that, very, very difficult. Yeah, elephant, tiger, or tiger, elephant. Okay, next slide. Something wrong. Huh? Okay. So this one, I think this is a chart, just to remind that we must always keep on striving forward. Every time you get a new design project, it's the start of a new journey of discovery, right? Journey that's to be shared, involving creating spaces, meeting people, understanding a client's needs, and what have you, and creating something that's totally sustainable, and then a new sunrise for yourself. And that's very important. So with every project, you must always feel a resurgence of a new energy. You get so excited. It's like in the morning when you wake up, wow, I got a new project, I must get going, not say, oh, I'm tired. That's the case, give up architecture, go and sell roti canai, right? So there you are. So very important. And now, how do we embark and seek for excellence and strike out for meritocracy? Now, one, you must set certain benchmark for yourself. You must have core values in your life. And you must understand that life requires you to be responsible, diligent, and have a sense of urgency. That's very important also to have initiative. Now, for those of you who have been in the Scouts, these are boys, of course, girls and the Girl Guides, I think the Girl Guides, you probably have the same thing. See, in the Boy Scout, one of the things that we were taught, our motto was, be prepared. You're always prepared. And for any eventuality. As an architect, you must. As a designer, you must. Then in my case, I've developed a concept called architecture of humility. And after you practice the architecture of humility, you then follow it up with the Tai Chi of architecture. By blending this two approach, you ultimately will create a very powerful architecture. Now, I was educated in Australia, in Sydney, in a foreign land, because in those days we did not have architecture in Malaysia. So having gone there and studied, it was all about Western architecture, Western culture. In those days, we only had three great architects in the world, Le Corbusier, Mies van der Rohe, and Frank Lloyd Wright. Now that's telling you I studied architecture about 60 years ago, right? So You got these three very famous people. And I believe Le Corbusier had actually gone to India and done some work in India. So did Louis Kahn, another quite well-known architect. So anyway, the important thing is you must know your own environment, your own context. So after coming back to Malaysia, to the tropics, the rainforest, I developed the mantra called the rights of the tropics. Now, you must understand your own cultural environment, your religious rituals and things like that. They will say, what are the rights surrounding the environment of Pune? Or Pune, you are in Maharashtra, isn't it? That sort of thing. Huh? So Pune is above sea level or not? Certain things. Pune is inland. So what are the characteristics and the things? It depends, you see. So that's very important. Then you must understand about conservation. See, when you talk about conservation, you're talking about sustainability, you're talking about renewable energy, you're talking about resources and so forth. So then you talk about passive energy in architecture and all that. So my final thrust now is to create architecture without walls. It sounds a little bit like architecture without architects. Now that's interesting, yeah? Architecture without walls. This is the sort of thing which I think will be great for. So if you have architecture without walls, and then if you have no walls, then you've got no buildings. And if you have no buildings, you still need architects. Think about it. Now, throughout my whole career, I have been breaching the different stages of the IIC with respect to my environment, and I did this by, you see, I've been able here to provide you a chart starting my journey of search for architecture in 1960 until 2018 is now 2021. So quite a number of years. And you can see every one of these stages with a year and whatever is a landmark, is a point, a milestone, benchmark. Okay. So there you are. So here I translate this into a graph. So all along is on all the time moving up and moving up and moving up. And that's very important. This was the first house that I designed in KL in 1974. Now, some of the construction techniques I use here had never been done in Malaysia before. Brick veneer house, timber construction. Nobody was building timber frame houses. I tried this one. Nobody was using load-bearing wall construction. I was using for this house. No one was using overburned bricks. A lot of overburned bricks, clinker bricks were thrown away in those days. Whilst if you were to go and buy the bricks, each piece of the bricks in those days would cost you about 15 to 20 cents each. Now, for the same type of bricks, if it's overburned, deformed, and all that, I could get it for about 76 ringgit per lorry. So if I take a lorry to the brick factory, they can bulldoze the whole thing. One lorry, it only cost me 76 ringgit. So you see, so this was the first house I did in 1974. In 1976, we started designing this link houses, terrace houses. So what I did, the two-story terrace houses, I lifted above the ground so that it creates a true space. The ground space becomes a true ventilator space, and the house becomes 1 story taller, so that the space underneath the house can be used when it's raining, when it's used very hot. So in other words, we're trying to replicate and capture the spirit of tropics. And this is something you got to look at your own things, you know. And that's all. So then the next thing was built in a natural environment. It's a slope. So we built a house without cutting the slope. So it straddled the slope of the place, and it's in timber. So it recognizes the environment, it respects the rocks that are there, it respects the trees, and it's naturally nature, all in timber. And in 1983, another stage of the IIC, where I designed a small residential house. It's on stilt. It's in Kuala Lumpur. It's not far out. Perhaps this design could be something that you would say it would be a farmhouse in India, where, you know, it's a house out of country, but then it's not country, although at that time it may have been. So this was all in timber, and was really quite a successful thing. As from the plans, you can see cross ventilation, and yeah. Then later on, 1984, did another house. Again, this is all in timber. You can see from the plan section, the house is delineated, because in the tropics, you don't want your rooms to be huddled together. You want to pull it apart, so it allows breeze to go through. It's just that when you're on a hot weather, you don't want to sit very close to another person because you get too hot. But if you're in a cold country, you want to be sitting next to a person, so it keeps you warm. So there you are. And in this space, the living room has got a ceiling that's about 45 feet high, you know, so you can see from the pictures there, you know, the sense of air movement and what have you. But these are the way behind images. These are external view, right? So then 86, now this time I've worked on this design where I designed the bedrooms around the swimming pool, so that the interactive space is a swimming pool, so they go inside there and all that. And then at the back where the main living space is again, you have this double volume set, as you can see from the section. All right, so you see at every stage, I try to bridge the norm. There are some views look totally open, no windows, nothing. Right? Lots of landscaping and so forth. Then in 1994, I designed the Salinger's house, which won the Aga Khan Award. Now, this house was exemplary because we used a lot of timber, and the joints were using traditional joints, because we were very fortunate that the carpenter was very well versed with how to do the traditional joints. So he said, yes, he can do it. So I said, fine, by all means, if you can do it, I'll be very happy. And from there, we learned a lot from the carpenter. You see, so at the end of the day, this is part of the architecture of humility. We learn from everybody, learn from this carpenter. We did. And for that, we are very thankful. Amazing God. And look at what detailing. So where is the decorative element in this picture? Did the interior designer come in and put all this little titillation and all that? No, they're all part of the structural component. So you must know your structures, you must know construction, so that you can create interesting space. Okay? These are just pictures to show you that we did win the Aga Khan Award. There's me on the extreme left receiving the award from the King of Spain. Then the middle picture is the carpenter receiving his award from the Aga Khan, and with me in the background helping him to take his frame, because this wonderful carpenter is only got one hand. His right hand is lost and he's blind in his left eye. Can you imagine that? And yet with that, he could create the Salinger's house. Here's a view of Salinger's house. So you see, it's very important that every stage along the way, you must strive for something, okay? So this is another house we did, 1999. It's on a very steep slope, full of timber. There you are, you know. And so lots of natural ventilation. That's what it looks like. And 2010, we did a little commercial project in Penang on the slope of a hill. This is a hawker terrace for selling food and what have you. All out of steel. They're sitting on the timber slope on pad footings. Yeah. Then in 2016, we did this house. Now this is an interesting house because the client was a couple. The brief they gave us was exactly the same brief as the Salinger's house. Now, you see, you think about it, you know, when you're confronted with a situation like this, would you automatically say, oh, well, I'll give them a Salinger's type house? But we can't do that because we must have some self-respect, you know what I mean? It's easy enough to just copy, you know. So we came out with this house. It's not timber, we're using steel and concrete. The Salinger's house was all timber and stone brick walls, you know, and there were stones and timber. But this one was steel and concrete because the client wanted non-maintenance. You see, there's a plan. And it's again triangular because the circulation was very similar. The requirements were very similar. So we are happy we achieved something. And the way the structural frame had been put together, it showed a great celebration for the use of timber as a tabulated material. So finally, we start to look at architecture without walls. This is a little experimentation in the back of our office where we are having canvas walls that could be opened up and all that. And because it's canvas, when the sun shines, throws all the shadows on, you know, we get a whole cacophony of patterns and whatever. And it's wonderful. The mood enormous, and that's really what architecture is about. So finally, where do we go? We have lots more ideas. So instead of blasting hills, why don't we take the limestone or the marble out of the hills? And then when we create this internal huge dome, we can use it for whatever purpose we want to. And of course, now we want energy, wind energy, water energy, sun energy, mechanical devices. So therefore, we can design buildings by having a lot of shades and lots of opening and lots of plants. You know, like this section here showing sunlight and shading so that you get all this sustainable movement, right? And this is how it will be. You don't have windows or glass. You just have a lot of plant to give you privacy, and you have a lot of spaces inside your building to allow air movement, right? And of course, then the next thing is we were looking at energy towers for the future, you know, because fossil fuel is getting less and less, and people are going to war just to make sure they get enough oil and all that. So we have to stop that. I think this the hegemony of the American as a leader of the free trade world will come to an end, and we have to make our own decisions to move forward. So here are a couple of examples of energy tower where we harness sun energy, we harness wind energy with wind turbines, we use shading, we use water to generate water, and we use mechanical energy, for example, for the lifts. We don't use the typical type of lifts. We go back to the ones that used many years ago. They call that the paternoster lift. So that's how it is. So at the end of the day, you know, you could end up with architecture that looks quite interesting because it's got so many mechanical components, and your justification, you've got lots of water tanks, reservoirs along the height of your building, you've got turbines and so forth and so forth. So your architecture will be quite interesting, and this will be what the energy cities in the rainforest will look like. So I think with that, I leave the rest, I'll leave you to think about. So I think that's what it is all about, moving forward and moving yourself, pushing yourself, and enjoying yourself. Most important, you must enjoy your work. And I think that's what it is. Yeah. So, okay, can any questions? Hello.
Hello, are there any questions?
Ayush?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, Jael, a bit louder. If you could speak a bit louder, it will be good.
Hello.
Jael, you can speak a little louder.
For me,
No, Jael, the
Wanted to
student
know,
who was
like, you
asking.
said this
Yeah.
sustainable low energy. So out here, you mentioned before that we can generate by sun, water, wind, and other mechanical devices. You can say, like, what all kind of sustainable, what all kind of energy did you use in this e-city rainforest?
sorry, it's not very clear, the question. What was the question?
Jael, can you please repeat? Or you can put it in the chat box so that we can narrate the question.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. What's the question?
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, Ayush, you're audible.
Okay. So I've got a bunch of questions for you, sir.
Yes.
I hope you could answer them. The first question goes like, who have you been looking up to for inspiration and your mentorship throughout your architectural journey, or even currently?
Who have I been looking at for
Up to for
inspiration?
inspiration and also for as your mentorship.
Well, as I said earlier on, when I went through university, there were only 3 heroes in the world: Le Corbusier, Miss Van der Rohe, and Frank Lloyd Wright. I did not like what I saw of Le Corbusier. Miss Van der Rohe, I thought it was very funny because he used to say more or less is more, less is more, right? And the only person who I kind of felt I could relate to was Frank Lloyd Wright. And Frank Lloyd Wright had a lot of sensitivity. He respected the environment, and he was very much a designer from the soil. Right? If you look at the work of Frank Lloyd Wright, it is really from the soil. Right? He uses natural material from the desert, like his Taliesin West. Yeah. In fact, the climate around Pune, lends yourself a lot of such opportunity, right? And the other thing is, in Pune, a lot of your schools are so barren. You've got no trees.
Dinesh,
Right?
मला कदाचित खाली जावं.
Sorry?
So I
Did
think it
someone say-
wasn't for you. I think it wasn't for you.
Huh?
I think it
No.
wasn't for you. So you can continue.
No, you see, for example, as architectural students, you people should start a movement. Okay, let's start planting trees around the college, the university. Symbiosis University campus, you've got a very nice campus, but then hardly any trees, right? So in the summertime, it gets very hot. So why can't you all make it a point that every time a student starts first year, in the first semester, every student has to plant a tree, and you'll select what type of trees in which corner. So by the time the student has graduated in 5 years, the tree would be 5 years old, right? So if you do this, on a cyclic basis, my goodness, within 10 years, your whole campus will be such a luxury. In fact, we had actually arranged some slides, because unfortunately, my dear architect is not well today, this morning, but she had presented a whole range of a different lecture. And we have some slides of this wonderful farmhouse we did in Ahmedabad. And when we took over the site, it was all barren, just desert, right? But we created a pond to collect wastewater. So that became a water body. And you know, today, that whole house, the whole surrounding, is just all full of trees and greenery. You look at it, you think you're in the tropics. Now, this is what I've always dreamed could happen in India, could happen. And this is what, every time I go to universities, I tell students, you start a program, the first semester, get the students to plant each a tree, put your name on it, and then you look after the tree in the 5 years you are in the university. Now, is that very difficult? It's a mindset, it's a will, determination. If you students can do that, then it makes you very strong as an architect. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't talk about environment, don't talk about this and that. Talk about beautiful design. Plant a bloody tree. That's all it takes. And I'm sure your principal, your whole university will be so happy. Then throughout the whole 5 years, you'll be looking after your tree. What do you think?
Definitely, sir. I think it's a
Huh?
great idea.
Great idea.
Definitely.
Would you want to implement it so that the next time I get invited to come to your university,
Surely,
I
sir.
can see
Yeah.
some trees there? I think something you all should think about. You see, I think as architects, very important we get up to do something ourselves. You know, no point talking. We show people, right? Show people what we can do. And that's very important. You see, I think today India is in the forefront to become a developed nation, right? So Indian youth have to now lead the charge. Next question.
So the next question is, how would you describe your journey in architecture so far?
Oh, my journey through architecture has been really fun. It's really fun. I'm still enjoying it, you know. It is because you must make it exciting for yourself, right? If you don't make it exciting for yourself, it's going to be very boring, right? Just do what you think is right, as long as you don't hurt other people. Okay. But life, unfortunately, sometimes you step on people's toes. Oh, when you step on people's toes, always be very fast to say, look, sorry, I apologize. No malice intended. You know, very important. We must be able to humble to always say we have made a mistake. Yeah? I think my going to a Catholic school was very good. I'm not a Catholic, huh? But in the Catholic school, we had to attend Latin mass. You know what a mass is? They pray in Latin. And in Latin, they used to teach us to say, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea se culpa. Mea culpa means my fault. Mea is me. Culpa is fault. To my fault, to my most grievous fault. So whenever we make mistake, we apologize. But enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Right? There's a song, I think was sung by Doris Day. If you Google it, it's called Enjoy Yourself. A very nice song, very chirpy. It's a song from the 1950s.
Sir, since you said we should make our journey exciting, what are the certain tips that you would give us to make it exciting?
Oh, that is your own determination, right? You set a goal for yourself. You must always have dreams, you know, have dreams. I mean, nice dreams, not impossible dreams. And that's what it's all about. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir, definitely.
So I think that's right. Let me try and show you a slide, if I can, a picture. Of this wonderful little farmhouse we did in Ahmedabad. Hmm. Can you see that? See this picture?
Yes, sir.
Now this picture was taken when the house was first completed in 2007. 2007. Okay, 2007. That's the plan, or it's very simple. It's elevated above the ground. It's not the typical farmhouse. You see, most of the farmhouses I see in India, Pakistan, and all that is replicating your house in the city area but making it smaller. So here, I had no walls. Everything's open and elevated above the ground so that you can see further into the environment. That's important. See, this is the way you got to think. Think about how things should be. See, this is one of my sketches of how the rooms will be. You can see, and we even have a swimming pool there. And the swimming pool is swimming pool above the ground. You see, whenever you want to swimming pool, you always build your swimming pool above the ground. Never dig the pool into the ground. Right? Digging a pool into the ground is one of the most stupid idea because it costs a lot of money. By having it above the ground, it is sensible. You see this picture here. You see the black line, the black thick lines. Those black thick lines was what the structural engineer had proposed before. He was thinking it should be a flat roof. I said, please, my friend, no concrete flat roof. That's the last thing we need. I'm not Le Corbusier. I think architecture in India has been spoiled by Le Corbusier after he built Chandigarh. Everybody tried to follow him. And of course, my good friend Doshi in Ahmedabad, one of his greatest disciples, does a lot of concrete stuff. But India, you need pitch roof and insulated. I think it would be nice if I can give you another session another day based on this discussion, based on this slide that we're prepared to give you all. You see, these are pictures of the house when it was first completed. See how desert it is, nothing. But then you see the water body that I've created here. To all the wastewater went in there, so it was very good. Here are some pictures. On the right is what it is now. On the left was when it was finished. You see now the whole place full of trees and grass. See the difference? Hello, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the difference?
Yes, definitely.
I see the picture on the right is today. The picture on the left was when it was completed. And look at the whole place. You think this is in the tropics, isn't it? So that's what it is. And here you can see when it was completed on the right, the pond and all desert with some desert trees. Now look at this, the tropical paradise, tropical garden. Now, this is the way this is what you should do to your to your Pune environment. Now, if every project you'll do something like that. See, in every project you do, you can always create a pond to retain water. See, this is when it was completed. Look at it now. Look at it. Take much, does it? See, nature will reward us if we are kind to nature. Look at the difference. Look at this and look at that. Right? Look at this. And it doesn't need much effort. Just that you have water there. That's it. You know, my clients were wonderful. And they allow things to grow, and they've taken advantage of water. So this is the message. So what I did with these pictures, really, I want to show you how, for me, as someone coming from tropics, I'm able to create something that allow a semi-desert environment to become very lush and green. And because of that, there's less dust and what have you. Now, you can do the same thing in Pune, because Pune, you're very dusty. Oh, I tell you, when my last visit there, the other time I went to the school where Mr. Desai Prasanna teachers, professor, you know, they have a beautiful site, but it's all desert. And I also encourage the students to start planting, but nobody seemed to take. I think generally Indians don't like gardens. Am I correct to say that? Hello, anyone give any comments?
We do, sir, definitely we do.
Huh?
We do definitely like gardens.
You like gardens?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so please do that. Do something to your school. Wonderful. Yeah, okay. And any more questions?
Yes, sir, we do have some more.
It is all architecture without walls. Actually, your traditional architecture also had no walls. All the old palaces and all with columns. And then you had a lot of drapes, curtains, and what have you. Right? So this is emulating the Indian traditional architecture. This is a little. Any more questions?
Yes, sir, we would like to know what are the 3 books that you think everyone should read at least once.
Sorry?
The 3 books that you think everyone should
Three.
read at least once.
3 books.
Yeah.
I think the first book will be the 10 Books of Architecture by Vitruvius. You know that? 10 Books of Architecture by Vitruvius. The what do you call Ayn Rand's Fountainhead. All right. And the third one should be Nicola Brezhnev's Concise History of Architecture. Those are 3 books. Oh, actually, no. Maybe the other one should be Community and Privacy by Serge Chermayeff.
Thank you so much, sir. We have one more question. And it is, should we make ourselves more marketable or should we stay real?
You should what?
Should we make ourselves more marketable to get jobs, or should we stay real of who we are in our designs and our planning?
I think the best thing is to be, well, let's put it this way. I mean, if you are looking for money, of course, you want to go to America. I tell you, everyone from the Indian subcontinent, their dream is, I want to go to America. Yeah, they don't say US, they say America. And they all want to get the green card, you know. So if you want money, fine, okay? But if you want to do something for the people of India, for the environment of India, you got one hell of a big responsibility at home, right? Just, you know, I mean, just a simple thing, planting trees, you know, just to plant trees all along Pune. Huh? You know, trees are so easy to grow. Right? You know, like if you go to Alibag, yeah? Alibag, see, look at Alibag. There's so many coconut trees, so many mango trees. There's so many things there. You know, Alibag is the tropics. But then after you leave Alibag, when you go towards Pune, well, the whole place becomes to look like a desert. Right? Isn't it? Really, I mean, when you think about it, actually you have a lot of greenery, environment. Once you can transform the environment, people can start to make a living. You know, the agricultural people, they can grow fruits, they can grow all sorts of things. You know, you have so much great cultural things in India that in pursuit of modernity, you're thrown away. Now, it used to be an Indian custom that when a boy is born to a farmer, he goes out and what does he do? He plants a jackfruit tree, correct? He plants a jackfruit tree. Why? So that as a boy grows, the jackfruit tree will grow. So when he's 18, 20 years old, the jackfruit tree will be same age as the son. So if he wants to get married, wants to build a house, he can chop the tree down and use the wood from the house to his house. And in the meantime, the jackfruit is producing fruits all the time. Now, isn't that fantastic? Now, these are the sort of things that India, you know, had, and but you have all forgotten all about it. So I think it's important that you young architecture students start to revisit your own culture. Be proud of what you are. Don't say that we must always look at America. You know, America is a cul-de-sac society. How do they make money? They make money by going to war. Right? Why? How they make money? They make planes, they make tanks, they make guns, everything. That's how they make money. What a way to earn a living, to make money by making machines to kill people. In that respect, I object very much to bulldozers. I often believe that people who operate bulldozers and all those heavy equipment, earth-moving equipment, must be trained, must have an environmentally, license, so that he knows what to do and what not to do, and not to, you know, cause devastation. And that's very important. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you see, can they see that? These are the sort of thing, so that our environment will not be protected. When they see a tree, they will not just chop it down. And, you know, when they see a big rock, they just shift the rock away. When they see a river, they just fill the river in, and that sort of thing. That will be quite bad, right? Yeah. Okay, I hope I haven't frightened you all. Any more questions?
No, sir, that were all the questions that we had. And the presentation you showed us was treasuring. And as they say, knowledge is the greatest treasure that you can have. I would request Gauri ma'am to say a few words.
Yeah, it was a fantastic presentation as always, Jimmy, and I'm I'm always quite intrigued by this meritocracy graph, which you explained even last time. You explained, we discussed the graph when I met you last time. So, and I think that that should be followed. Like wherever you reach, you start the graph from there. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah. And now we know the secret of your energy. And it's the same. I think a few days back we celebrated our honorable chancellor's birthday. He's 86 and full of energy and very enthusiastic. So we asked him a question, that what keeps him going. So, and so energetic. So he said, there's a quote which is he follows, and live like you are going to die tomorrow, and learn like you are going to live forever. So I think your graph says the same thing, that learn like you're going to live forever. So it's I think a great lesson for all of us. And thank you so much for being there. And as I said, we are really looking forward to host you for a face-to-face kind of an interaction with the students as a design for a design workshop, and hope that day arrives soon. Till then, please take care and stay safe. And thank you so much once again for being there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. All the participants, keep watching all the episodes of Creative Pursuits. Will be soon coming up with one more episode of Creative Pursuits with another very inspiring personality like Jimmy. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ma'am, there is a vote of thanks.
Yeah, you want to thank him. Okay, go ahead, please.
Yes. Honorable Architect Jimmy Lim, sir, respected Gauri ma'am, dear faculty and our most valued invited guest, it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of Symbiosis School of Architecture, Urban Development and Planning, and the entire faculty, student committee and audience, we gathered here on a fraternity of architecture, and I would like to extend my hearty vote of thanks to architect Jimmy C.S. Lim for gracing your important work and sharing your piece of knowledge and findings with your opinion with us here today. I would extend my thanks to our HOD, Dr. Gauri Shirkar, for providing us with this amazing opportunity to have learned from Jimmy Lim, sir. And I'm grateful to all our faculty and guests for making this event a success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. See you soon.